You presented this as evidence, I'm assuming, so we'll call this B. Exhibit B. This is Exhibit B, just so everybody knows what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a short video, very short, that I have on a thumb drive. Jim King helped me put that in the computer last time. Could I put that in, or could you put that?
Right there to your right.
Oh, you're talking about up here.
Right at the monitor.
Oh, really? Okay. And it will start when I start it, right?
Oh, it's in there. Okay, now we know.
Yeah, I don't want that started just quite yet.
Ready is right there.
Okay. All right. Members, thank you for having this opportunity to continue this and research it. And, thank you for your talents and consideration and your commitment to hear the facts impartially and judge the arguments based on the foundation of those facts. In my documents, I believe that you will be able to ascertain that my research is broad and my representation of the facts is objective as possible, even when those facts did not support my particular concerns. To begin with, let me show you this quick video so we'll know what we're talking about here. What's that? Oh, okay. What is all this?
Hit that.
I might have to move this mouse too, because I'm all over the place.
Piece of paper.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they can use that. Okay, this is a video of the property. In the lower left corner, my driveway's over there, but this is coming into the area where they want to put the event center. And right here, you can see the fence in the corner up from those trailers. That's the corner of the property, and that's approximately where the corner of the drain field will be for the septic tank. You circle around, that ditch through the middle is actually storm drainage. It's not got water all the time, and it just catches it when it's in the rain. You can see the section of the road that's up there, and on the right is Carmel Church Road. And then you go out and you can see the full extent of the 15 acres. Now, if you look at that picture and you look up toward that trailer at the corner where the event's supposed to be, about in the center up at the top, see that white trailer? That's where the event center is supposed to be. And it's in a relatively small area compared to the 15 acres. And trees cover part of their property line there. Okay, so you can see that the area we're talking about is rural. There's a few people there, and if you go down the end of my driveway, 11 o'clock, nothing but peace there. Event center that close to my house, there's going to be noise. There has to be, and it's not going to be. It's going to change the thing forever. But anyway, continuing here. In reviewing the application documents, the appraisal, the site survey documents, I was prompted to gather information from applicable Union County departments, and I have documents of those communications which give unbiased facts regarding each department's practices and procedures. In no case were the facts compromised to achieve specific results. Can I ask the ladies a question? A couple of questions?
Sure. I guess.
I appreciate your.
They'll need to come up. Ladies,
Okay.
one of you can come up.
Okay.
Just one of you. I don't think both of you need to come up. All right.
I do appreciate your business venture. It's so noble. venture. And
I think he's talking to the mic.
it is a noble venture and takes some fortitude to do that. When y'all bought the property in 2018, is that correct?
That's correct.
When you bought it at that time, was your plan for the event center at that time or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that was your plan for the entire time. The application talks about the 15-acre parcel. If you do build the event center there, is that the only thing that's ever going to be on that property? Or do you intend to sell part of it off, or what?
So right now, we're just focused on getting the special use permit for the wedding.
Okay, that's not what I asked you. This is very important.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that was indicated, which I don't think was totally clear, somebody asked somebody on the board.
Yeah, sir, that's not relevant.
It is
But
relevant.
It's not relevant, sir.
It is relevant.
It's not relevant. They're asking a special use permit for a piece of property. What they're gonna do 10 years from now for the rest of the property is not relevant to the special use permit, sir, whatsoever.
Well, let me
That
mention,
is not relevant, sir.
let me mention one thing to you. The special use permit runs with the land.
Correct.
okay? And whatever it is, stays the way it is.
Exactly.
So if they sell it off, it's still, they can't go back and change that.
Well, they could. I mean, they could ask for no special use permit, but the new owner could come back and revise the special use permit.
That's not what I understand, but
The
anyway,
the special use permit does go with the property, absolutely. If somebody else wants to come back and run the same thing they're running, they can. They can't add to it, though. They can only do what we approve.
right.
It is
Now-
limited to the footprint.
It's limited
of
to the
whatever's
footprint.
approved. So all the rest of that land isn't just, they can't just
Exactly.
randomly build more event centers on the rest of the land. They would have to come back with a site plan and ask for more permission for the rest of the land.
Okay,
So, you don't have to worry about things popping up on the
Right.
rest of the land, because it's limited to the site plan they've submitted for now.
but the application specifies this is 15 acres that we want to build an event center on. And it puts it in terms of that is the property that we're getting the permit for. So there's some difficulty in that application if that's not the case. I just want to clarify that.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we understand that, but it is, I mean, a parcel's a parcel. This one happens to be 15 acres.
That's right.
They would
Well-
have to, they don't have to subdivide it to ask for a special use permit, but their special use
Understand.
permit is limited to the drawings that this board approves if they approve it.
Right,
So that they can't build more
right.
on the
Well,
rest of
that's-
that land without coming and asking again. Does that make
Well,
sense?
Yeah, that's important.
Okay.
And the reason is because, again, you have a community there, and if they're trying to accommodate, let me ask one more question before you leave. You did say the last time that you want to work with the community, and that's important to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If you're willing to work with us.
Well, is it, it takes two to tango, so I'm not saying, will you work with us if we don't work with you? I'm just saying,
No, I'm saying we're more than willing to work with you
Okay,
if you're willing
that's
to
all
work
I'm
with
asking.
us.
All right. Thank you.
But
Ladies,
if
may-
you'll remember, sir, last month in testimony, the whole purpose that they was building the building where they're asking to is it was the only suitable piece of the land that could support the building.
that's not anything that I was talking about.
All right, I think the question's been answered. They've submitted a permit, a
I'm sorry.
request, and it's going to follow the footprint.
Right.
They can't go build, you understand now?
Yeah, yeah.
And so they can't go build something on the other 10
Well,
acres.
I don't want to frustrate you, but I don't understand.
We're not
your-
fussing about it. The whole thing is it has to go where it is because you can't build a building on the rest of the property. If you build one there, it's not going to change the lay of the land.
Did I say anything about that? I mean, I'm just talking about, we're illustrating right now where they're talking about it, putting it, and and whether or not it had to do, the whole land was going to be part of that, and if they wanted to work with the community. I hadn't
Yeah.
said anything about
All
where
right.
it needs to
Well, I
be.
think the answer is no, they can't build on,
Okay.
without getting another permit, a special use permit. If they want to, somewhere down the line, if they say, hey, we want to build something over
Yeah.
here, then they have to come back and get another permit, because the special use permit is exactly what we approved.
Yeah,
On that piece of property,
I got
that
you.
building, that footprint, as the lawyer said, that's where it's gotta be. If they try to move it, they gotta come back and get approval.
Right.
Or if they try to add to it, they gotta come back and get approval. So that
Right.
answers that question.
well, and again, I hope you'll have patience with me, because I'm not used to this kind of board and environment, so
That's okay.
just keep that in mind. So I gathered information, and the sources are the Department of the NCDOT, Union County Planning Board, the Union County Building Code Enforcement, the Union County Environmental Health. I have some information from an artist conception regarding the property and some ideas on that. And I have the input opinion of a local attorney's general knowledge, not that he's representing this case, but he has general knowledge of properties, and it's Bennett Glass, and he's probably here when Moses started looking at property. Current R40 zoning. Let me see, I missed something here. I'm very pleased to have the confidence that the Union County Board of Adjustments has ready available access to the considerations which must be satisfied before a special use permit can be approved. The basis for the voting requirements are clear and well defined. This ensures to those here present that the judgment will be fair and unbiased. I trust that this is indeed the case. Is that true? Anybody have? Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Huh?
We looked for the chairman at the opening of the last meeting, asked if there was any conflicts.
Understand.
If you're asking if we understand the rules, yes, sir, we do. We've been on,
Right,
most of us
right.
have been on the floor.
And there's
quite
no
some
bias. You look at the rules and you look at the
Exactly.
facts. Right.
Well, that's the reason we have an attorney to advise us in case there's any questions.
I understand. If you modify the current RA 40 zoning requirements, there's no turning back. I missed something else. Yeah. The approval of this particular special use permit brings with it serious issues which have to be addressed in depth. The decisions made here today are in effect forevermore. The present community is satisfied with the current nature of the area, and to allow a venue that is alien to the allowances of the RA 40 zoning are no turning back conditions for which the community will have to bear the burden. No doubt special use permits have a proper place in the county's overall vitality. However, their approval should be a rare case rather than the usual case, being that the current zoning is in place for a good, well-thought-out reason. Unless that zoning is very much outdated, special use permits need stringent oversight, and I guess that's what we're here. There are 3 conditions that have issues. There are 5 conditions that have to be met. According to the application, there's 3 conditions that have serious issues. Condition number 2, 3, and 4. Realizing that the applicant has the burden of proving that the conditions have been met, I have no doubt that the board, again, will use the shadow of doubt principle, especially when the residents of the community have the most to lose if there's a problem. Regarding condition number 2, it has been mentioned many times in these meetings and with others, the obvious facts that alcohol will undoubtedly be consumed and many will likely lack restraint, being that many times these events have open bar type situations. And I understand it has to be that way because they don't have a permit to sell alcohol. But they can have alcohol if somebody brings it in and doesn't sell it. The later the venue, it follows that the more the situation is exacerbated. It necessarily follows that many guests will be leaving impaired. I think that that's obvious. If anybody has any other consideration, I think the proof is obvious in that. Therefore, the venue is, okay, It is also a well-known fact that intoxicated drivers are dangerous and should not be let on the road. Okay? Therefore, the venue is in fact a very strong hazard to the public. One example may be if you have a gasoline can sitting here, it may be okay. If you have rags next to it, that may be okay. But it increases the danger and it wouldn't be allowed because somebody could have a rag with something like linseed oil, throw it over there, there could be spontaneous combustion. So there's rules against that. And this is equally obvious that increased impaired drivers on the road are dangerous. Condition number 4, referring to the chart, condition number 2, the development will not affect the surrounding property values. This venue is so uncharacteristic to the area, and you saw the video there, that it diminishes the peaceful enjoyment of the community. It should be obvious that the center does not meet condition number 3. Condition number 4, referring to the chart, referring to the Charles McClure's input, although it is not a specific plan, but a concept, it is easy to see the difference between harmony and what is merely a facsimile. And I'll get to his input later. The obvious conclusion is that the permit should be denied as it is now presented. However, were the owners to consider a harmonious plan, as an example that Mr. Cleary's drawn, because he's an architect and their primary skill is to look at something and know what harmony is. I could see that the event center may actually be an asset to the community and possibly even increase the values if something that is in harmony is done. Okay? So the first information there is the information that I just spoke about regarding the application. The transferability runs with the land. The applicant bears the burden of presenting sufficient evidence in support of the application to allow the Board of Adjustment, after weighing the evidence that is presented in the opposition to the applicant, to make findings that reasonably support each of the conditions. If that burden is met, the Board of Adjustment must approve the application. If that burden is not met, the Board of Adjustment must deny the application. The Board of Adjustment may not approve an application for a special use permit unless it first reaches each of the following conclusions of fact supported by competent, substantial material evidence presented at the public hearing. Considerations listed below, some of the required conclusions suggest that some primary concerns pertinent to respective conclusion, but these considerations are not intended all-inclusive. And then those are shown on the next page, and the conclusion of proof is written there from the application of the owners. The proposed event will comply with the rules. Okay, I get that. Proposed development will not materially endanger the public health or safety. And their response is the event center will not primarily endanger the health, safety, or welfare. The building will be equipped with security personnel, video, security monitoring systems, and locked doors in the evening. That's a comment, but again, it doesn't address the alcohol situation. The proposed property will not substantially injure the value of abutting property or its public necessity. The event center will not, and their answer is, will not substantially injure the value of abutting property or adjoining property. The appraisal attached confirms the same, and the appraiser will testify at the hearing. Now, I have more to say about his appraisal in a minute. The proposed development will be in harmony with the area in which it's located. The event center, and this again is their statement, will be in harmony with the area in which it is located and surrounding areas. The properties adjacent to the subject residential and vacant land. Location of the event center will be at the corner of Lancaster Highway next to the adjoining land. One of the things appraiser failed to do when he took pictures of the surrounding property is show the house across the street and that sort of thing. So it's not totally out in the wilderness. And then the comprehensive plan, I believe is probably in line with that. Mr. Tilley, are you all right? Are you having a problem with what I'm saying? It
No,
seems-
sir, I'm reading what you're saying. Don't worry about me. I'm
Okay.
listening to you.
All right, thank you. The next page in here is something we've already gone over. The application said these are the adjoining neighbors, and it's more like the list below. One of the requirements, and I couldn't find this, I read it, one of the requirements when you inspect the property, you're supposed to consider the property right across the street. And there was no mention of that or no consideration of the residents or in the appraisal. Now, this next.
Sir, let's clarify one thing. then.
Okay,
I think it adjoins, is concerning adjoining property owners. Does your property adjoin their property?
He's on the list.
He's on the other
I'm right
side of
across the
road.
street. If you move the
I
street.
understand, that's not the, you
Well-
didn't ask. Does your property adjoin their property?
It does not adjoin the
Okay,
property.
that's fine, I just want to make sure.
But you were notified about this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But understand that it does say that the properties across the street are affected equally. You understand that? You're not discounting that, are you?
He's a valid interested party.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
Yeah, you
understand
got,
what you're saying.
absolutely. You're
I
adjoining
I
property.
just wanted to clarify the adjoining property.
Right.
Okay, go
And your
ahead.
name's on the list, so yeah, okay.
And this is my confirmation to Travis Pressler, the engineer, the direct engineer for this area, concerning everything that the NCDOT does. I had a good communication with him, and I sent this email to spell out exactly what we talked about and what the facts are for him to confirm or correct me. And if you want to, we can read through this, or I can tell you the gist of it. Reading through it covers it pretty well, so if you don't mind, I'll do that. Huh?
I think we can read it. Thank you.
Okay. It's basically saying that that the surveyor, Jeremy Gilliard, completed the project, and it shows the proposed site plan according to the Wed and Event Center that will, with the association. And so my questions are, is the driveway entrance as shown on the survey and site plan fixed as shown, or is it permitted that the driveway location may be moved to another location on the property? And he specifies that the driveway location can be basically, I'm paraphrasing, basically anywhere the property owner wants it, as long as it meets the distances from where it needs to be. And he did say it was not affirmed yet exactly where it would be. And then I mentioned that there's some mention that the drive location being on Carmel Church Road may be a better solution when all factors are considered. The reasoning here is that Carmel Church Road presents less of a hazard roadway with much less traffic, and this would allow safer approach to the entrance. Is that a possibility? And that is still under review. When I spoke with the residents of Carmel Church Road, there was already a passionate concern, such as Mr. Goering represented there. There's already a passionate concern that much of the current cut-through traffic moves at an inappropriate speed. The inference here is that an entrance on CCR would exacerbate the problem. This is no minor concern if it is decided in favor the CCR location, Carmel Church Road. The residents to intend to oppose the center. I submit that the possibility of posting speed limit signs, 15 to 25 miles an hour, and adding speed bumps might make entrance more palatable. Would this be acceptable? And as Mr. Warner had told me before, being that Carmel Church Road is a state road, unposted state road, the default speed limit is indeed 55 miles an hour, whatever speed the traffic goes. As to posting reduced speed limit signs and speed bumps, the DOT would not do either, okay? And that's to present that fact. In a discussion with Planning Board member Warren Hanson, he said that a speed study on CCR revealed that the average speed limit was 25 miles an hour, implying that some driving above and some are driving below. And his conclusion, therefore, is that the traffic is generally going at a reasonable speed. Wouldn't that indicate that a lower posted speed limit may be appropriate? Addressing what he said and what the assumption seemed to be is that since their study showed that the average speed was 25 miles an hour, that it may be self-regulating. But when you add this event center to it and people are coming and going, there's no rationale that they're not going to be speeding more and less careful than local residents would be. So I think it is appropriate that they ask for a study and the DOT do that. That's immaterial for this, but he did say that posting a sign for lower speed limit may be warranted based on the results of an investigation. That investigation would only be done if requested by concerned parties. If the residents make a request to the DOT stating that the 55 mile per hour speed limit is not appropriate, then the DOT would investigate, and if based on its findings, a reduced speed limit is appropriate, then the DOT would likely post limits, and safety dictates that outcome. Once again, however, posting a speed limit would be based on DOT standards. In this case, it was determined that a lower posted speed limit is appropriate. This new speed limit would not be in the range where speed bumps are allowed. And if there were speed limits, the owners have to pay for it, but it still has to be allowed by the DOT. So in this case, speed limit is 55, they might reduce it 45, 35, whatever, but speed bumps are never going to happen. After going through this with him, it was really a learning process, this whole thing, because I gained this knowledge of where they come from. You know, they can't listen to everybody's whatevers, and they have things to go by, and they have a mission that's focused on safety and traffic flow. And anyway, that was something to go by. Would it be a good idea to install a blinking yellow light at the top of the hill approaching Carmel Church Road from the north as a safety measure to caution the coming traffic events conditions may exist? And because I can see there's a dip right there, and if people are coming to turn and they're backing up, somebody could possibly, not be going too fast at 55 to react. But he said that they put the blinking yellow lights typically at intersections and only after they're found to be dangerous, like there's accidents and stuff like that. So that was the answer there. And then I said, I believe this document addresses all my concerns. If there were any issues, please refresh my memory. And then on the back is his reply. It says, Mr. Walters, to my knowledge, the driveway location has not been determined yet. I agree with the following, with the below, which my information was below, as long as it is portrayed as your summary of our conversation and not my quotes. And even though I have Q&A, it wasn't quotes. I was articulating the facts that I got from him, and those are the applicable facts. I spoke with Mark Griffin, the building code enforcement, and this is, I talked to him and then I followed up with this email to make sure I understand our conversation. Okay, and Mark was saying that basically they don't care where the building is as long as they haven't pulled a permit yet. If they haven't pulled a permit, they can move it as long as they satisfy zoning and environmental health, okay? So if somebody says they want to move it, it's already got to be specified for that. So the driveway location and the building location are not necessarily fixed, but the septic system is, because they already have an approved permit for that. So I asked, well, so if you move the building, it could only be, and I'll get to why this might be a good idea in a minute. It could only be a few feet or so then. And Tracy Cowley said, no, it could be anywhere as long as your pump is big enough. So anywhere on that property is a little bit extreme, but move it in the same kind of location is a doable thing until there's a building permit pulled, and then it's fixed. I understand that can't be permitted until this application is approved. Although the septic system was tested, they had soil tests, they had a very good engineering system and a lot of soil samples, and they determined, which is hard to believe, but on 15 acres, that's the only spot where they could have that septic system. So that's not a movable thing. On the back of that is email response from Mark Griffin that basically said, as I stated, building code enforcement has no interest in the location of the structure on the property. Our inspectors do not verify the location of a structure with respect to property lines, wells, septic drain fields, etc. Both zoning and environmental health have setback requirements based on their specific rules and regulations, which are verified prior to the issuance of a building permit. I would agree with your nutshell summary in that the building location is fixed once approved, approval has been granted. Should the building be required to be relocated, it seems appropriate that zoning and environmental health should be notified. So, it would fall to them.
And Mr. Walters, I allowed the ladies about 20 minutes. I've allowed you about over 30 now. I'm going to cut this off in about 5 minutes.
Well,
So you might want to just, I don't need to read
Oh.
emails. If you could just,
yeah, I'll try to get
if you
through
could
it.
just
but-
give us a synopsis of each, we're cutting this off.
Yeah,
in
I'm
5
just
minutes.
concerned that
I understand, just
since
let's.
I swore on the Bible to tell the truth,
Yes,
if I
sir.
don't finish the truth, then I can't tell
I'm
them.
just asking you not to read emails, just please
All
give me
right.
a synopsis of what each email says.
All right. So the next drawing is their original permit, which shows the location down there in that corner, okay? And the traffic, the parking lot coming right off Highway 200. I have no doubt that the DOT or whatever will decide to bring it off Carmel Road, because after hearing him and looking at their concerns, it just makes sense. The road is too busy and all that. Plus, the owners of the property have frontage on Carmel Church Road, and basically they could put the driveway in general anywhere they wanted, just like you or I could. If we
Well,
wanted
this
to drive.
board's gonna make that decision, not DOT.
What's that?
We'll make that decision tonight, not DOT.
Okay.
DOT will decide where it
Well,
may
excuse
fit,
me.
but we will make a decision whether we're going to 200 or, because there's been 2 options submitted, and I don't know which one we'll pick, but we'll make that
Right.
decision.
Okay, on the back of that is their modified drawing, which they've already showed you.
Correct.
Now, my concern, I live there, and there's this condition of harmony, and it seems to be subjective. 5 of you may decide harmony, 5 of you not. But harmony has to have something that's true about it. Just like if you hear a song, it's in dissonance, you know. In harmony, when you look at a piece of property, that's important. Well, my architect, I told him to come out and look at this property, and I showed him the other sketch and told him to just give me a feel of what you could see. And he had some excellent ideas. First, the drawing, their new plan shows the screening S2 and S1. Is that okay, Mr. Green?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm looking at it.
okay. Shows a screening S2 and S1 that's very formally in place, okay? You know, it's just there. And I'm not sure what that means and if the minimum would really do what it needs to do for that particular event, okay? If Charles is drawing, when you look at the whole thing, he utilizes the whole 15 acres, which can be a beautiful thing. If you can see what it is there, you're coming off of Carmel Road, you have your parking away where it's hidden, which you don't see it from the street, which is important. You come down there to a nice driveway in the event center, which is still in the proximity of where it was. It's just moved back a little more on the property. And that gives it a better setting. You're, benefiting from the tree line. And you can just see that they're utilizing the whole property for that harmony. And when you try to squeeze it in that front corner, it just doesn't work. It sort of works, but it's not in harmony with the neighborhood. Okay, so if they consider something like this, it would cost them a little more money. They could do it in stages. But he said, if I'm driving down the road, and you have to picture yourselves as living there, driving down the road to do this. If I'm driving around the road and see this place the way it was drawn, it's not going to affect me. But if I see it this way, I'm going to look at that and say, that's someplace I want to go. So he indicated that the business would be a lot more. It would feel good in that community and would likely increase the property values as well. So anyway, that's my case there. And again, I have testimony from Carol Green that is an experienced realtor in the area. And if you want her to, she could testify that what they will want to do right there in that corner of the place will indeed affect the property values. And even though the appraiser said it wouldn't, his comparisons were totally irrelevant as an event center, property values and all that. So
Okay,
anyway,
thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions?
do you want to hear her?
If anybody would like to present evidence, they may do so under oath.
Okay. And she hasn't been sworn.
Should I be sworn? Is more than one person?
Yeah, this Mary Helen Trees, she brought me in. She's from Monroe, she's a realtor.
And you are?
Carol King
And you're,
with Keller Williams.
okay.
So-
You both presenting evidence or just one of you?
Just, yeah, she grew up in the area, she knows the area.
So are you or her? Who's presenting evidence?
Well, I'm gonna let you present it,
Okay. I'll
Okay,
present.
well then why are you standing there if you're not
just
presenting
to
evidence?
help.
Just to be in sworn
Okay,
in.
okay.
I can sit down. if you
What
want.
about him?
Well, he's already sworn.
Okay.
He's the one, yeah. You don't have to be sworn again, you're already sworn. Thank you.
And I think he's for,
Yes, you did. Do you swear that, okay, place your hand on the Bible, raise your hand.
Left hand on the Bible.
Left hand on the Bible, raise your right, please. Both of you, are you giving evidence or?
I might,
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter at hand?
yes.
Okay, now, please state your name, whoever's speaking.
Okay, I'm Carol King with
Yes, ma'am.
Keller Williams. I was just here to talk about the comps from the appraisal.
Okay,
And none of the comps that were shown were significant and comparables to the property in question.
Excuse me, I have one question.
Yeah.
Are you an appraiser?
I am not, I'm a realtor,
okay.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
yeah. But I do this for a living.
But you're not an appraiser, okay.
No.
I want to clarify that.
So the first of all, the Rolling Hills Country Club is not a comp at all because everyone wants to be by a golf club and everyone wants to live around there as opposed to this situation. The Masonic Lodge, it's not a comparable. It's a little bit, it's a lower priced area and
Not residential.
it's not residential. The other one, the American Legion, is an industrial area, not,
Have you noticed that there are actually new houses being built near the Masonic Lodge?
No. No, I have not noticed that.
I think there's at least 3 being built there.
okay. But it's not a similar area because it's industrial. And then the Treehouse Vineyard is also not a comparable priced area. Same, so I'm here just to say that the comps that were used are not similar to what is going to happen. And I can tell you with experience that if you build something for a lot of people in an event center and your property's next to it, it will devalue your property. That is my opinion. Do you want
Thank
to
you.
add anything?
No,
Any-
I agree with everything you said.
She
Okay.
grew up in this area, she went to school in this area, and works in this area, and knows all the roads, and so we were discussing.
I rode out to the property, I looked at it, and.
I'm sorry, and your name again was,
Mary Helen Treese, I was Mary Helen Sechrist
okay,
Treese.
and you're
I
a
own-
realtor as well?
I'm a realtor and I own the Sechrist building in downtown Monroe.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm just basically here to just validate
Okay,
what she's saying.
but
And-
neither of you are an appraiser, correctly?
No,
Okay,
no.
thank you.
But realtors do market analysis.
Right.
I know it's not an official
I understand.
appraisal, but it's very similar.
I understand.
Yeah, and we dispute them all the time.
Okay.
So,
Any-
But-
That's true.
Any questions, anything else? Any
that's,
questions?
You're right.
okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
You're
I have a
welcome.
question.
Okay, you have a
I a
Oh,
question.
sure.
So if an event center, it's about 200 people limit, hours are limited, various, if you were here during the presentation, you would see the hours limited. So if the driveway, I mean, I've seen a number of event centers that are done beautifully, with, landscaping and things like that. Your opinion is that even with the proper landscaping and the building which they showed a little while ago, would devalue properties nearby, adjoining properties?
I think if it's right on the road, I do think that this one, that was the conceptual property, that would be fine, because it would go back and use the property. But when it's right there on the road, I think it's going to be a problem.
So it's just an issue of moving it back.
Moving it back, that's it.
All right. Anything else? Thank you. All right,
Can I make two quick statements that I forgot to mention?
very quickly, yes, very quickly, and I'm being really, yeah.
One is that the hours to 1 o'clock in the morning are totally inappropriate in terms of families, whatever. And more like 12 should be the outside number, and that seems reasonable. The other thing is on that conceptual drawing, and this really struck me when Charles said it. He says, you get this and you have this pasture like here and put cows or horses on it. Now, that may sound crude, but if you picture it, you come into this event center, you have that there, it just makes it more of a desirable, peaceful, connected situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We will go through each of these items individually. Let me make a point to say now that the hearing is closed. There will be no more testimony. The board will now deliberate. Question number 1, proposed use and development comply with all regulations and standards generally applicable to the zoning district and specifically applicable to the particular type of use.
I think they've submitted sufficient paperwork to show that they are agreed to comply with all of the rules and regulations that have been discussed with them with regards to the location of the event and the parking, and they'll agree to either one of the roads we submit to them.
Bjorn, could we get the staff recommendations back on the screen?
Okay, with that, anyone like to add to that?
He was kind of quiet, I couldn't hear him.
And I think staff's recommendations with the screening and everything shows they'll be in compliance.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Let's clarify on who's voting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Make sure, Rick, you're not voting because you were not here last week.
Oh, yeah.
And we only had one alternate last week.
Yes.
Who was the alternate
Francis.
last week? Okay, so Dion,
Dion's
you're not voting. Okay.
So it's the,
Okay.
yeah. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, the next item is the proposed development will not materially endanger the public health or safety.
I think the first thing is their septic system has been approved by an engineer, and they've submitted sufficient documents to show that that's not a hazard to anybody. They've also agreed that they're going to equip the building with security personnel and video and security monitoring systems.
Are y'all getting this? I'll make sure. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I think, as far as the safety, I think it would be a good idea to ask the staff to do the study to the recommendation of lowering the speed limit. But that,
We don't have that.
That's not in the staff's purview.
North
Yeah,
Carolina
it's
DOT
not
has to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so can we ask them to do it?
No.
Not our place.
The neighbors can.
Yeah,
and-
we can.
And probably ought to, but it doesn't really have any bearing here. Now, you can discuss the two different driveway entrances as part
Sure,
of the
sure.
safety issue.
Yeah, we can do that. If, when the motion is made, if the motion is made, we'll make, that can be determined, am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah. You have two site plans to choose from, and you're going to have to approve one or the other. So
Right.
that factors into your safety analysis.
Right.
So I guess we need. No, sir. Can you actually, do we need to make a decision on the site plan before we go further with this, or?
Well, that would be one of the conditions of the motion, but you probably ought to be thinking about which one y'all are leaning towards,
Sure.
especially, I think, before you vote on number 2, you probably need to go ahead and decide which
That's what I was
entrance
thinking.
the board would lean towards.
Yeah, I think before we, the site plan that indicated Carmel Church, I think is the most,
It
Can we
seems
get them
to,
back up?
it seems to present less problems.
yeah, it does. And I believe there was agreement that it was, do you have that? It's over here.
You looking for the two site plans?
Yeah.
They're behind
They're in E.
G, no, E.
E. The initial site plan was, actually, the first page there is the second site plan, which comes off of Carmel Church. And then the other one comes off 200, the second page, you see there, behind E. You see it, it's behind E.
E.
Yeah. First page is the Carmel, and the second page is the Lancaster.
Personally, I feel the Carmel is probably the better location.
I believe that's probably where we're leaning.
I think most people will come off Lancaster Highway, so I don't think most of the cars are going to turn off to go to Flyers Mill.
Yeah,
It's not where they came in.
right, exactly. It's an option,
Yeah, it's an
but it's
option.
not in a problem. Okay, so with that being said, any other things for item number 2?
I just note to the board members that looking at this, the event center will be at least 200 feet off the road, off the Lancaster, so it is set back. In my opinion, set
Yes.
back.
I think if you just put in there moving to, they're agreeing to move the road to Carmel
Yes.
Road,
Yes.
it will be a safer.
With the Carmel
Location.
Road. Yeah, and we have to approve that, so, yeah, I think that the agreement to move the driveway to Carmel Road also is a improvement for any potential danger versus 200. Any other things to add to that one?
You said they are gonna have security personnel?
Yes, I
Secretary?
believe you said that.
It's in their application.
Yes, in their application, yep. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item, the proposed development will not substantially injure the value of abutting property or is a public necessity.
I think there's two things that strike me. Number one is the appraisal itself, with its discussion of the 4 different event centers that it has. And also, testimony was received last month that indicated that this lot was unbuildable prior to now. And I think that the fact that they're able to put a septic system on there now that they couldn't use 20 or 30 years ago helps make this lot even more attractive. And so I think that too adds to the value of it.
Anything else?
Yeah, I agree that generally speaking, when you know, things are worth what the most recent sale is worth. So the most recent value is what's going to affect the other values. I'm a mortgage loan officer, so I'm deep in it every day. So that,
Right.
I agree with it.
Okay, anything? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, the proposed development will be in harmony with the area in which it's located.
Trying to get to the appraisal again.
You realize the county has already determined that it is an appropriate use
Correct.
for this zoning by passing the ordinances. So the question is more, is this just so out of bounds almost? You know, is this sort of,
Well, they've got adjoining property that has a lot of tractor parts,
Yeah, I saw.
trailers, and that
Yeah.
sort of thing on one side versus the.
Sir, you can either leave or you
homes
can
on
be
the other
quiet.
end. So
Thank you.
it's kind of a mixed-use area with reference to that.
Yeah, the drone footage showed there was a lot of tractor trailer parked. I mean, clearly there's other things going on around there. So,
Yeah, it was different.
it's not just houses, there's stuff happening. I don't know if it's farming or what, but there's definitely other uses. And it is permitted, so. Any other questions, any other input on that item? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And item number 5, the proposed development will be in general conformity with the comprehensive plan. I believe that's pretty much generally a given when it comes to these matters because it wouldn't be allowed if it wasn't. Anything else?
Because it is a mixed residential, non-residential use right there, so I think.
Okay. Any questions about that item? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, do I have a motion? Please state the motion and add anything that needs to be added. Make sure that Ms. Griffin gets the motion. Because there's some recommendations that came down the line there, and I want to make sure they're all in there. Do we have a motion?
I would move that we grant the special use permit with regards to the staff recommendations. Add in each of those, driveway access off Carmel Church Road. The hours of operation, my understanding is a little bit different from what we have with staff recommendations. It's my understanding that would be for 2 hours on a Wednesday between the hours of 11 and 5 Friday and Saturday was at 5 to 1.
Correct.
And Sunday was gonna be
3 to 8.
3 to
3 to 8.
3 to 8.
Which includes cleanup time.
There was a request for an opportunity to have small ceremonies outdoors. Is that something you want to include in your motion? And if so, do you want to define what that
Time
means?
limits on that too.
I think on
The only thing I would ask, if we include the outside, that it would only be allowed during daylight hours on the outside.
And do you want to define small? And do you want to find what sort of event would be allowed?
Mark, in the wintertime, it gets dark pretty early. They may want a candlelight ceremony or something, as long as the hours are reasonable.
Cut it off at 8 or something.
8. Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
8 p.m. 's
I
good.
would welcome that in the motion.
And as far as size or type of event, you would go
And
ahead
then,
and
on the event,
The request was for a ceremony.
right, I would
think we
say
just
a
need to
wedding
confirm what that
ceremony
means.
only, because if you go to bring in
yeah.
parties outside, that's different.
So add for wedding ceremonies between no later than 8, have to end by 8 p.m. That good?
Should we limit the number of people that can attend it?
Well, we're already at 200,
We're
we
at
can't
200.
change that.
200. Well, that's what
This
we-
was an additional request for outside. I think you could
We could
limit
put
the
that-
number of people to below, to whatever you want. I mean, obviously below 200, 200 or lower.
That's your motion. What do you want to do?
I don't have a problem with the 200.
I'm fine with 200. All right, so your motion, basically.
Limited to 200. Okay.
Can you repeat your motion with all the added stuff?
They must comply with all of the recommendations of the county staff with regards to the indoor events only. We're going to allow the outdoor activities at the times we just mentioned.
To end by 8
10
p.m.
by 8 p.m. All the parking screening is addressed on there, the driveway access off of Carmel Church Road, the hours of operation that we put for Wednesday, 11 to 5 for 2 hours, Friday and Saturday, 5 to 1, and Sunday, 3 to 8.
All right. That's the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Britt. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Do you need an extra copy, ma'am? Did you?
I was just gonna take it there extra copies of it. I think we had 12 of them.
You can have mine.
Mr. Chairman, just grab my water. Anybody else?
Hey, ma'am, ma'am, did you get a copy of
no,
this
good.
part
Got
that
one.
they presented?
Well, not here, but I wonder, is it like online? Got all that material?
I'll give her mine.
You'll need an extra copy. Okay.
Just in case you want to build a wedding center.
I'd like to ask that all discussion of this case be taken outside, please. We're fixing to start another case. All right, going into item C, determination of any conflicts of interest for case 2021 SUP-03. Are there any conflicts of interest?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, we're going into D, special use permit. The applicant, Stephanie Cupperson, is requesting a special use permit to operate an indoor pet grooming business on the property located at 3501 Parkwood School Road. The Union County Development Ordinance requires the issuance of a special use permit for animal grooming and training within the RA 40 zoning district. There is an existing detached garage on the property that the applicant wishes to convert into an animal grooming business that is approximately 550 square feet in size. The applicant plans to bring the building in compliance with both the North Carolina Commercial Building Code and environmental health regulations. On the site plan provided, the applicant demonstrates there will be sufficient parking along with handicap parking. The existing garage is served by a separate driveway entrance. Okay, Mr. Dorn?
Madam
Is
Chairman.
the petition complete?
I'm sorry?
Is the petition complete?
It is.
Okay.
So this is an special use permit request that is requested because the UDO requires a special use permit for animal grooming and training. I'm going to go through the background materials for this application. It's located at 3501 Parkwood School Road, just west of the Parkwood School cluster. Owner and applicant are one and the same, Stephanie Cuthbertson. This is what the site looks like. It's currently zoned RA40. Garage is to the west side of the site. And the use is allowed with the issuance of a special use permit. This is the existing survey of the property with the carport, the house, and the garage. In terms of the conceptual plan, take the existing garage, put some delineated parking spaces along the front, and then paved access over to the side with an enclosure to the rear. In terms of the zoning in the immediate area, it's mainly RA40. There is some business towards Rocky River and Parkwood School. In terms of the land use plan, agricultural, so the zoning is consistent with that in terms of 1 acre lots. As you get towards Parkwood School, there is a commercial node identified as a rural center. In terms of development status, you can see the schools immediately to the east, some homes along Parkwood School, large lot, undeveloped land back away from Parkwood School and NC 200. In terms of transportation, Lancaster Highway, this section, the volume drops off a bit compared to the previous applications, about 5,000 cars a day and 2,300 on Parkwood School. No funded projects along Parkwood School. There's a funded roundabout project here at 200 in Parkwood School. And long-range plan is for the roads to remain 2 lanes. In terms of environmental features, no significant constraints, no wetlands or ponds or streams. In terms of staff recommendations, again, comply with the UDO, building code, environmental health, not have boarding of the animals, grooming by appointment only, supplemental S2 screening along side and rear, hours of operation limited to Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, maximum of 5 pets, and that the site plan that gets built is consistent with the concept plan. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Could you go back to the slide that showed where Parkwood School was in relation to kids? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
On staff recommendations, do you not require S1 screening along the front?
I can't answer that question. That's a Jim question. I'm sorry. Whatever we would require by our zoning is what would be required. I don't have any more information than that.
Okay, do you know if the roundabout would have any effect on this property in the future?
No,
It's
the
far enough away.
amount of, I mean, it's not going to impact it directly, for sure.
Right, okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Ms. Townsend. Okay, all parties for or against that are planning to give testimony, would you come forward, please, to be sworn in? Raise your right hand, put your left hand on the Bible, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter at hand?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, petitioner. Yes.
I brought copies as well.
Okay, will the petitioner come forward and present your evidence, please?
If you want to
Are you the owner or the one that's asking for the permit?
I am. I'm the applicant and the
Okay. And your
property
name?
owner. My name's Stephanie Cuthbertson.
Stephanie Cupson.
Yes.
Thank you. And this is the impact studies, that's all that's in this?
That's all. That's it, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this be Exhibit A?
Sure.
Okay, would you present your case, please?
Um,
State what you want to do and the reason for the
Well, my intention is to open a grooming facility. I have more than 30 years' experience. Want to be home with my 11-year-old. My intention is to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, a very light schedule. As I'm getting older, the best way to, I'm not sure how I should put this. It's just going to be a much better environment for me to be working from home as I get older and be able to control my schedule. And I'm not intending to create a high-volume environment. I don't even intend to have employees unless at some point I need an assistant. But I'll be the sole proprietor, sole groomer on the premises.
Okay, now, will you have any animals outside the building, or everything will be inside the building?
I plan on having a fenced area for potty breaks,
Okay.
for them to relieve themselves, but nobody will be out there unattended at any time.
Okay, it'll just be for,
It'll be in and out.
okay.
I have a question. Is it just going to be dogs or other sorts of animals?
Just dogs.
Okay, give us just a minute, let's look over this appraisal.
Okay, should I have a seat?
Sure.
Are you Mr. Morrison? Okay. Just want, like, so the appraiser is here. If you want to hear.
Yeah, any questions? I can present.
Okay, while we're in those, could you come forward and give us your
Yeah.
report, please, sir?
I'm Andy Morrison with Morrison Appraisal. It's nice to be on a little friendlier terms this time. So this one, so we dog grooming. So like with all these we do, you can't just kind of conjecture. You just got to find the empirical data to support it. So we just go out there and we try to find that use and something kind of similar, and then just see how the properties around it, abutting it, if they've sold, and then how those compare to market sales. So try to keep it as unopinionated as possible and let the data do the work. So on this one, we did 2 studies. One of them is study 1, it'll be on page 17 is where it starts. So we've got Nicole's Bark and Bubbles, and it is a dog groomer that is in a Myers Meadows subdivision. So the home across the street from the dog groomer sold in August of 2020 for $265, $175 a foot. And then So I just looked in the neighborhood to see if there anything else sold around that time. So a month later, we've got a home not exposed to the dog groomer, sold for $174. So the proximity did not play an impact on these sale prices. And then 2, we did Midget's Dog Grooming Station. It's on Monroe Road, and it backs up to Sandalwood subdivision. And we've got a few sales that are up close, exposed to it, and then we compared that to other sales at that time point. And it was actually the one closest to it was on the market one day and sold for $15 higher than asking. So the business didn't have any effect. I would say either way, it's more of a market thing, but yeah, it didn't hurt it, that's for sure. And so, I mean, those two, I mean, I don't think we need to go too deep into more studies on that. They're pretty straightforward there, both residential areas, dog groomers, small operations, felt pretty similar. So that is what my conclusion was, that it would not injure surrounding properties and it's in harmony with the neighborhood.
Okay, on page 19, it says, in conclusion, it is the appraiser's opinion that using the site for a dog grooming business will not negatively impact the value of the, well, you left out a word there, the value of the abutting majority of properties. So you're confident with that, is your professional opinion?
Yeah, I don't see any data that would suggest that there's any harm to values based on that use.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, Ms. Stephanie, could you come back up, please? Did anyone have any questions for Mr. Morrison?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have anything further to add?
I don't think so. Just to add on to what he was saying with the comps, my neighbors are in a much, not as close as in those communities, and I've actually spoken to all of my neighbors, and they all seem to be supportive.
Okay, so Mr. King is not here, but to your knowledge, all adjoining property owners were notified of this?
Oh, yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
everyone's in agreement with it?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
That speaks millions, just not having anybody here to oppose it.
Yeah, sure does. Any questions?
I wish you'd ask that question, you just asked the John, just cover ourselves. If property owners was,
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware, I'm sure Mr. King did it, but are you aware to make sure that all the property owners were notified? Okay. So everyone was notified, so there is no opposition. Does anyone here, anyone else like to give testimony for or against petition?
The only one here's my husband, and he's biased, so.
Does anyone else have any questions? All right, do I hear a motion to close the open hearing?
who's voting on this one?
Second?
I'll second it.
All right. All right, let's go to the, I think what they have done is a real good job on the findings of facts. On item number 1, the proposed
But
use.
before we vote,
Sorry.
let's just continue. Francis, you'll continue to vote since Darren left. Obviously, Rick, you can vote now because you've heard the
Oh, thank you.
testimony.
Yes.
And then we'll flip to Dion next time, if, next
Okay,
time.
is that good?
we need it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the proposed use and development comply with all regulations and standards generally applicable within the zoning district and specifically applicable to the particular type of special use. We will provide handicap parking and a handicap accessible restroom. Parking will consist of 2 regular spaces with 1 handicap space nearest to the entry with an access to the walkway. Does anyone want to add anything to that? Everyone good?
Well, I think the fact that they're complying with staff recommendations probably factors into
Yeah.
number 1
Yes.
as well.
So we will put on there that they will apply with all staff's recommendations.
Now, we'll put that in the motion.
We can do that. We'll just put it in the motion. All right, is everyone good with that?
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right. Number 2, the proposed development will not materially endanger the public health or safety. We are working with environmental health to ensure that the septic will comply with regulations pertaining to grooming. Fencing will be installed to the rear of the property
2 pages back.
building to ensure that dogs can be taken out safely. Inside the building, there will be a door separating the check-in area from the grooming area to prevent dogs from darting out when someone enters. NCDOT will be contacted to find out if there will be a need for a turning lane, and I will be sure to provide this information prior to the hearing. Did you find out anything about that?
Yes, that was sent in at a later date. It should be in there. I had forwarded an email to Jim, so. And they said there would be no
No
additional
requirements.
requirements for.
All right, let's go back. The proposed development will not materially endanger the public health or safety. So basically, she's covering the condition of the dogs, the public health and safety while they're in the building. They will have a separate room to bring them in. There will be a separate area for the grooming area, which is for safety for the pets and the public. Anyone have anything to add?
No?
You good?
Put in about the fenced in there.
It's on there.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, she's got a fenced-in area at the back. I saw it just a minute ago.
No, I think the
Yes,
hours,
fencing will be installed to the rear of the building, yes, all.
I think the hours of operation help with that too. Doesn't create a problem.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's good. The proposed development will not substantially injure the value of budding property or is a public necessity. I think Mr. Morrison's, you can sit down if you like, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We did close the public hearing. The proposed development will not substantially injure the value of a budding property or is a public necessity. The impact study will be conducted by Morrison Appraisals, and representative will be present at the hearing to testify. He was here, he did testify. Is that testimony good enough? Okay.
If you can do it, that's up to you, whether it's good enough.
I think his appraisal showed that there were
I do.
other places that did not affect the prices, and house even sold for more than what they were asking, so.
I think it was sufficient in his evidence on it.
Yes.
All in favor? All opposed? All right, the proposed development will be in harmony with the area in which it is located. The building will be in harmony with the style of our home. The property is lined with mature trees, giving a separation from adjoining properties. And they're looking at the S2 screening determined by, and all of that will be through the staff's recommendations. Anyone have anything to add?
No, it's not really changing the character of what the property is already, other than adding the parking and the fence.
That is correct, and she will have to get the building permits from the county in order to construct everything, so that's gonna take care of all of that. All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? The proposed development will be in general conformity with the comprehensive plan. Article 25, Section 26, Article 25, Section 25.010 says that dog grooming on a property zoned AR 40 is allowable with a special use permit. So that covers that. Anyone have anything to add?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, do I hear a motion that we accept the petition?
I make a motion to approve this with staff recommendations.
I'll second that.
Ms. Griffin, did you get the motion? Okay. Anyone have anything else to add? All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, and so those carry. All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any other business that need to be discussed? Ms. Thurman, you have anything to bring forward? Anyone else have anything? Do I hear a motion we adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank y'all.
Somebody turn that recorder on.
I don't believe that's gonna go away.
I don't have the other one. Do you have the other one?
You did what you had to do. It was fair and by. Second.
Hey, can I steal somebody's version of his? I gave her.